Let's go ahead and look at part 6A, where we're trying to estimate the number of bricks forming the exterior walls of Broun Hall. I will start on a blank sheet here, so we'll have plenty of room to look at this. And what we're going to do is we're going to use order of magnitude, or that is powers of 10, where we really don't have a good exact number to work with. But when we do have an exact number, we'll use that. For example, we're going to treat Broun Hall as a rectangle footprint or ground print, and so we know a rectangle has 4 sides, so there's no point in estimating that as a power of 10. Also, Broun Hall is a 4-story building, even though not all 4 stories are totally above ground on all sides, but we're going to say 4 stories for that. So let's start off by writing down what we know. We know that Broun Hall has 4 stories, and we know that it has 4 sides. We also know from just general construction knowledge in the U.S. that the number of feet per story is pretty close to a power of 10. And here's where I'll use my first estimation technique. I'm going to write down powers of 10 that are in the general vicinity of what might be reasonable. So we could say 1 foot, 10 feet, 100 feet. I'll even write down 1,000, just even though that's not really reasonable, and we know that. But what we do is, just by the process of intuition and the common sense, so to speak, we eliminate the unreasonable powers of 10. So we know that in normal construction, the height of a story is certainly not 1 foot. It's certainly more than that. And of course, it's not 100 feet either. That would be like a hugely tall building. And 1,000 feet is like 1/5 of a mile. So that doesn't make any sense either. So it's pretty close to 10 feet. Actually, I think in industrial or commercial construction, it's maybe 14 or 15 feet per story. But we're going to round it off to an order of magnitude. So there we've got 10 feet per story. And what that gives us then is we can already calculate the number of square feet on the sides of the building. So we can say if we have 4 stories, it's going to be 4 stories times 4 sides times 10 feet per story. And then we need one other dimension, and that is we need to know the approximate length of each side of the building. Again, we're going to use power of 10 estimate here, and so here, I'll just put a question mark in for that last dimension that we need. So what we need is the length of a side, and of course we could get blueprints, or we could use some sort of aerial view and extract that, if we needed exact numbers. But for just the process of estimation, once again we're going to use powers of 10. So we'll say, is the length of a side of Broun Hall 1 foot? No, obviously not. Is it 10 feet? No. Is it more like 100 feet? Well, let's see what the next power of 10 is 1,000. Right, so it's certainly not 1,000. That would be 1/5 of a mile, and we know that Broun Hall, the side of Broun Hall, is not 1/5 of a mile long. So we're going to go with 100 feet. Okay, so that's the question mark there, and that means that the square footage that we're looking at to cover with bricks is 4 times 4 times 10 times 100. 10 times 100 is 1,000, so this would be 16,000 square feet. All right, so if we have 16,000 square feet to cover with bricks, and then we're going to make a reasonable assumption here. Again, trying to keep things simple, we're going to say that about half of the walls are covered with brick. Now that's accounting for doors and front entrances and windows and things like that. And that's going to tell us that we've got about 8,000 square feet to cover with brick. It also accounts for the fact that not all four sides are completely above ground. So if we go with 8,000 square feet, and then we're going to make one more power of 10 estimate, we're going to say how many bricks are there in a square foot. Okay, again, power of 10, is it 1? No, because we know the face of a brick is smaller than a square foot. Is it 10? Well, maybe. It's certainly not 100. You're not going to get 100 bricks to fit in a square foot. So just by process of elimination, we'll select 10. And that means that we're going to end up with $8,000 times 10, or 80,000 bricks. So there's our result. How many are there actually in Broun Hall? I haven't counted, I don't know, but that certainly seems like at least a plausible number. Maybe one day we'll go out there and get somebody to count them, but that would be the estimate based on reasonable assumptions, some power of 10, order of magnitude guesses, and some additional reasonable assumptions.